the average person. Look what happened in Nazi Germany. One of the very first things they did was disarm the public. There's a couple things that we have in America right now. One is that the more and more the middle class disappears, the less power is in the hands of the average person, because the people with less economics are dependent upon the government for food, dependent on the government for housing, dependent on the government for education, dependent on the government for medical care, dependent on the government for most everything.
And the elites use them as weapons against the middle class.
Right. It's a class warfare situation. The middle class in America used to have extra income and extra money so they could support good candidates, they could support good causes, they could take time to protest things they didn't like in society. With less and less people having disposable income and time, and we're also told to turn away from those items because they're too big for us. They used to be local items. Now everything's a national item, so it's so far away from you that you really can't deal with it. And now we have all these distractions between sports and TV and other things that people are told it's just too big a problem.
We're being disenfranchised, deindustrialized, kicked off the land. It is a strategic globalist takeover program of dependence.
And when people do protest, like let's say use the Tea Party, for example, they're told they're racist, they're told they're backwards, they're told they're, Bible-hugging individuals, they're narrow-minded, they want, bad things to happen to other groups of people. So when people do get together, just simply to say we don't like the direction the government's going, they're demonized, they're called names, they're told that they're stupid and backwards. And people who say that population control is good, that one-child policies are good, that people, shouldn't drive cars are good, that we are killing the world, that's you should look what they're teaching our children today. That's considered to be elite. In fact, I think they're trying to take, God out of everything because government's becoming God.
I think you've hit the core of it. That is what the New World Order is. We have a clip in Jason Bermas's film Invisible Empire where on C-SPAN they're having a globalist meeting and they say the New World Order is, the definition is the state is God. More phone calls coming up after this quick break. We'll also get into some other health news that Dr. Gold has been covering as of late, and also federal agents raid flea market. They're shutting them down all over the country, not allowed to have that in prison America. We'll be right back.
We're on the moves.
I mentioned this in the middle of the last hour, and so I thought I'd briefly go over it and then into some other health news and the rest of your phone calls. Study finds high fructose corn syrup contains mercury. This is out of the Washington Post, January 28, 2009. Almost half of tested samples of commercial high fructose corn syrup contained mercury. Can also find it with lead, which was also found in nearly a third of 55 popular brand name food and beverage products with high fructose corn syrup in the first or second highest labeled ingredient, according to two new U.S. studies. And it goes into the fact that it was very high levels of mercury. Folks, this absolutely... continuing here, HFCSs has replaced sugar as the sweetener in many beverages. Folks, when Mike Adams has done this here on air, you can go to the baby store and get major brands, all the major brands of formula. Oh, it's formula, it's high tech. And it'll be 45% high fructose corn syrup and then another 10% sugar. And then some of them are over 70% sugar. Deadly toxic, sugar's bad enough, with processed sugar, with mercury, with lead, which is in the, folks, you might as well just throw the child off a 10-story building. I'm not saying literally do that, by the way. People are actually on all these heavy metals, they'll believe it. We say it's like the public or zombies. They are. And you look at neurological disorders, straight up. Cancer, straight up. Diabetes, straight up. Organ failure. This is huge. And that's why then, years ago, I tried different vitamins and stuff at the regular store. It's all crud, just goes right through you. Then I finally found Dr. Wallach, who'd been a veterinarian and then also had some other medical degrees. And the point is, he was saying everything I knew from the large animal vet I worked for, Jess Adkins in Freestone County, East Texas. Because, I got in trouble in high school and they sent me down there for much of a year. And boy, do those guys work hard. But the point is that he was a large animal vet, still works. Great vet, by the way, if you can get him to come see. He's so busy. and it was all about minerals. And he'd come out and check a herd and do this, a cow, sheep, and he'd say, you need to give them this mineral and this feed. And, you know, he'd look at them, they need this. And he was just, everybody loved him because he was, well, top of his class in A&M, but also he was, you know, the real deal. And it was all about, and of course, up north, I later researched, the cows freeze to death if they haven't gotten the proper minerals. I mean, real veterinary science, especially on an industrial level, is all about this. The system sees us as animals and is taking what we need. Minerals, when you get the full spectrum of the trace elements, that's what the studies are showing, they help pull the toxins out. Do you understand that? It's not just that you need these for your body. They pull the other stuff and they fill up the glands. They fill up the biological space where the toxins would go. So you need these in the receptors. It's very simple. It's like the thyroid in layman's terms. When there's different radioactive isotopes, like the radioactive iodines, that first hit you in fallout, it will actually not just make you get sick. If you get too much, it'll die inside your body and you die. Your thyroid just rots. So you take the good potassium iodine, it fills it and blocks it. Now, this is in layman's terms. We've got a master formulator, you know, chemist, biology, dentist, you know, Dr. Corey Goldon. But am I saying this correctly from my layman research?
Yeah, I think you've hit it pretty well close. You talk about animals. People spend a lot of money. Animals are worth something. Cows are worth something. Chickens are worth something. Livestock's worth something. So they feed them exactly the right kind of nutrition that's designed to either create more beef or create more fat or create a larger cow or decrease whatever they're trying to decrease to keep them healthy, because sick animals can't be sold. Sick animals don't reproduce. Sick animals don't give off milk, and they can't use them. So they take a lot of care in feeding them well. They don't take that care in feeding you. They don't. I mean, if we actually ate like they fed the animals on farms, we'd be much healthier. 50 years ago, they understood that amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and omega oils were important to these animals. They reproduced better. They had better, livelihood. They produced more milk. They resisted. They could live in the colder weather. They had, greater ability to live off smaller amounts of food. They grew faster. They had less diseases, less genetic mutations. So they fed them right. They don't care about us as much. So they let us eat garbage. They'll give us high fructose corn syrups. They'll give us, all kind of things, MSG in our food. They'll give us all kind of brand names of these different kind of artificial sweeteners. They'll give us all these sodas that are full of syrups and different things.
Absolutely.
They'll put them in lead cans.
Exactly. And by the way, I didn't just, when I relearned all this information, because I'd always known it, just hadn't paid attention, I went and did research. It turns out in industrial veterinary medicine, this is just common knowledge. So really what Dr. Wallach has come up with is just a way to formulate what we're missing. It's just like limes for the sailors so they don't get scurvy. But if people don't have that basic knowledge, it's destroying them. And I know Dr. Wallach talks about a lot of the public basically has scurvy nowadays of one form or another.
Well, a lot of people have mineral deficiencies. A lot of people have vitamin deficiencies. They're getting a lot of calories. So people are very conscious of calories, but calories and nutrition are not tied together anymore. It used to be a high-calorie diet was a high-nutrition diet. Today, it's totally the opposite. So, I mean, if you look at it today, the average parent doesn't know where to turn to give their kids the vitamins, amino acids, minerals, and omega oils. They don't even know they're not even in the foods they're eating. They're eating food that's devoid of minerals. So they may even go down to the store and try to pick an apple or an orange, and it looks orange and it looks red, but it doesn't have the nutrition in it. It maybe took 2 weeks to get from the farm to the market because we had to get it from Chile and it had to go on a boat. And by the time it gets here, it's under a red light, so it looks tasty for you. By the time you get it home, it doesn't really have much in it.
And by the way, from what I've read, if they're giving them the chemical fertilizers, in many cases, it makes it grow, but it doesn't actually contain the material. And of course, that's the issue, is the played out soils. And I had my mic on. I was telling the guys, go ahead and get another shot of it, because while you're talking, I'm showing people articles. Again, here's the Washington Post. Study finds high fructose corn syrup contains mercury. And you read the article, high levels in it. High levels. High levels. And again, It goes on and on and on. They know full well. Explain to people why high fructose corn syrup, it's in tens of thousands of products conservatively, why it has mercury in it.
Well, it's a process they use to make it. It's the industrial manufacturing process. They don't, you could just say they don't want it in there, but it's a byproduct of the manufacturing. So you have it left over. And they try to remove a good portion, if not as much as they can out of it, but you still have a lot left over. And for some reason, the government says the process is safe and that the end process is okay for people to use. And when you grab a can of soda out of the big machine, not only are you getting the carbonation, which is bad for your bones, but you're getting the high fructose corn syrup, which inhibits your body's use of calcium and zinc and phosphorus that your body needs to rid itself of heavy metals and to have strong bones and to resist osteoporosis. So if anybody tells you that, nobody's out there telling you that drinking sodas is good for you. So, I mean, even the medical association is not telling you that drinking soda is good for you, but it's just they don't tell you how bad it is for you.
Well, you know, whenever I was in high school, my senior year, I was lifting weights and jogging. I was in pretty good shape, but I would drink twice a day. They had Coke machines. I would, during the 5-minute break, I'd grab one, guzzle it down, and go into class. And somebody said, hey, if you quit drinking those, you'll lose weight, because I was about 20 pounds overweight. Within a month of going off Coca-Cola. By the way, I had a Coca-Cola last night. I have one about twice a year. They taste great. The point is that I lost like 20 pounds. Boom. But that's not the issue. Dentists tell you don't drink them because that eats your teeth. Not just the sugar, but the other chemicals in it.
I don't think there's anybody out there telling you drinking a soda is good for you. They may say, hey, listen, have one now and then. And I'm the same way. I had a soda with my daughter yesterday. It was good. It tasted good. You can do naughty things every once in a while. But if you do it all the time, it's not good for you. And what people are doing nowadays is like, hey, let's go eat healthy. Let's go to that health food store and eat there once every few months because it's good for us. And they eat at the other store all the time. It's the opposite. You know, you're having a soda once in a while, great. Treat yourself. You know, that's fun. But if you're not getting the vitamins, the amino acids, the minerals, the omega oils, those 90 essential nutrients, your body can't function. Because if your body has that stuff, when occasionally you go the wrong way and you have that fun food, it clears it out. It says, okay, you went the wrong. If somebody drinks too much once in a while, the person feels bad for a day. So we do know that when you put the wrong things in your body feels sick. Anybody who doesn't drink very often, if they drink too much, they know their body feels really rotten the next day. Your body has to clear all those toxins and poisons out. But your body can do it if it's only once in a while. If you're constantly drinking too much, your body just degenerates. Your liver starts failing. You start getting necrosis.
Oh, I'll say this. Yeah. I took my children to Laser Blazer with their cousin to have, a laser fight. And they're in there playing, and I'm sitting there with the 4-year-old, and we're playing a few of the, games where you roll the ball up and it goes in the holes. Or I forget the name of that. What's that called? Skeet ball. And I look over and I see the Coca-Cola fountain. And I was like, I haven't had one in like 2 years, or literally. I went and got one. It was really good. But about an hour later, after that, I went to my parents. Hadn't felt that exhausted in a year. And it was like, wow, that high fructose jacked me up, brought me down, and I don't want to do that again.
Well, you're right. I mean, there's a new study just released today that was talking about giving vaccinations to kids. And it said, well, some of these vaccinations when they're real young is bad for you, but when it's older, it's okay because it doesn't affect the system as much. And, I'm reading here where the doctor's actually saying, yeah, when you give it to him, I'm reading it directly from the study, though the seizures are scary for parents, they're not really very